let's talk about the gut microbiome. A microbiome is the world of microbes, bacterial and otherwise, that live somewhere. So like we have a skin microbiome and we have a gut microbiome that goes from the mouth to the bottom with a variety of microbes living inside us. Now, we could have a really healthy belly or we can have not so healthy of a belly. And a lot of it is based on the number and the variety of microbes that live there. In a healthy belly, we could have over 100 trillion microbes living there, thousands of different strains, most of which are actually pretty beneficial. Some are neutral and some are harmful, especially if they're allowed to grow out of control. Now, if you don't have a healthy belly, like most of us in this part of the world where we eat a processed diet, we don't have that healthy of a belly, which means we don't have as much diversity. And the strains that we do have in the gut are not the more beneficial ones. They're either the neutral or the more harmful ones. So we want to get that turned around. So why is this specifically important for us while we're detoxing? Well, if we can have a healthy belly, a healthy microbiome, those microbes will help us to metabolize and neutralize any toxins that are in the body or that we naturally ingest. And then even if we weren't detoxing, it would be important to have a healthy belly because those microbes also help us to absorb and even digest some nutrients. The proper strains of microbes will help us with weight management, and the proper strains of microbes will help to calm both the inflammatory response and the immune response. And those are responsible for pretty much all chronic diseases, is the inappropriate immune and inflammatory response. So there's all sorts of really good reasons to have a healthy belly to nourish that gut microbiome. So how can we support it? Well, we can support it by two ways. What I call make new friends or make more friends, and then feeding your friends. So I think of the little microbes that live in the gut as our friends. They are our helpers. So we want more diversity and we want more of the good ones. So we want to make new friends and make different friends. So we do that by eating probiotic foods, also known as fermented and cultured foods. So I'll show you some examples. One of the main ones would be kraut. And everything I'll show you today, you can just buy at the store, even though it is fairly simple to make, and someday you might want to do that. So when you go to the grocery store, you can pick up some kraut. And I'm not talking about that can of sauerkraut that is on the grocery store shelf. I'm talking about fresh, raw kraut that has living microbes in it. So you'll always find this in the refrigerated section. So it's just cabbage with salt and water that has been fermented. Okay, this is a nice brand that I like. But there are lots of other brands too. You might see this Wildborn is a really nice brand of kraut. And again, this one is cabbage. But if you don't like cabbage, well, try it anyway. But if you really don't like it, you can get all kinds of vegetables that are fermented and cultured. Like here I've picked up a bag of beets. Okay, so these are probiotic beets because they have been fermented. Here I got some with carrots and ginger, and this is kind of spicy. I was really surprised at how spicy it was. And then if you really do like spice, you could pick up some kimchi, which is a super spicy version of fermented vegetables. Now, if you're just really not into the fermented vegetables at all, I would suggest starting with Bubby's pickles, because who doesn't like pickles, right? They're just cucumbers. But the Bubby's pickles are fermented, cultured, so they are a probiotic source. They will provide you with more of the good microbes for your gut. Okay, so then moving beyond the vegetables, we have something called miso paste This also is found in the refrigerator section of the grocery store. This is what it looks like on the outside, and then on the inside, it really is just it's a paste that you can put in your soups, or you can put in warm water to turn it into a broth or a soup. It has a really nice flavor to it, as well as being a good source of probiotics. Now, the one thing about the miso paste is, like all probiotic foods, they can't be heated too much or it will kill the microbes. So you wouldn't want to put this in boiling water. You'd want to pour your water or your broth or your soup into your bowl and let it cool a little bit, and then stir in a spoonful of the miso paste. That way the living microbes stay living until you can digest them. So those are some probiotic foods that we would be encouraged to eat while we're detoxing, or anytime really. But then there are also some beverages. Now, most of you are probably familiar with yogurt. That's what we think of as a probiotic food. And actually most yogurts really aren't that good because they're full of fillers and sugar and things like that. There's one brand that's good. I forgot to get it out, but I think I have some in my fridge. Yes. If you do yogurt, and we really don't do a lot of dairy during the detox, just because dairy tends to be a little inflammatory and it just has some other not so great qualities, but it also has some good qualities. So if you are going to do dairy, or after the detox, if you put dairy back in, this is a really great brand. It's called Grass Milk. It's from 100% grass-fed cows that are pastured outside in the sunshine eating grass. So this is a very healthy yogurt, and all it contains is the milk and the cultures. No fillers, no artificial anything. So this is what I would get if I was going to do yogurt. The other form of dairy is, it's sort of a drinkable yogurt. It's called kefir, or sometimes it's pronounced kefir. And again, you want to make sure you get it from 100% grass-fed cows. And this is a nice source of a probiotic. You could use this if you were making some porridge, the overnight oats that's in my detox recipe book. If you didn't want to use a nut milk, you wanted to use dairy, you could use kefir, and that's a nice option. And then on to some other drinks. There's the milk kefir that I just showed you, but there's also water kefir. And so that's what this is. And I just picked this up at the grocery store. It says sparkling probiotic drink, and it's because it's made with water and water kefir cultures. You can also get some that is made from coconut water. Okay, so this is a coconut water kefir. Now these are like a tonic. You wouldn't drink a whole bottle of them, but you would have a little bit. You could have it maybe as you're preparing your meal, or kind of throughout the day, but you wouldn't want to consume them in large quantities. Okay, this is kombucha. This is a nice treat, I think, that is a good substitute for a soda. Not because it's sweet by any means. It's definitely tart and tangy, but it's fizzy like a soda. So when you get a drink like this, there will be some sediment at the bottom, and don't worry about that. That's the good microbes. So you just gently swirl it around to sort of mix it up. Don't shake it because it'll explode, but gently swirl it a bit and then pour a little into a cup. I might drink, maybe 3 or 4 ounces as a treat, okay? If I am having the coconut water kefir, I only put like a tablespoon of it in with water or with whatever else I'm drinking, maybe in with some mineral water or something like that to dilute it a little. With all of these probiotic foods, if you're not used to them, you want to start very small. Just have 1 bite with your meals, and then work your way up to a couple of bites with your meals. You know, think of them as a condiment rather than as a big serving. Just 1 bite or 2, once a day, twice a day to start is great. And then you work your way up to having more and more. Because if you eat a lot of these probiotic foods right at the get-go, then it's like you have made too many new friends all at once, and they're going to take over your gut and start fighting the bad guys, and then you feel kind of gassy and bloaty and like, this is not what I'm supposed to feel detoxing. So you do want to start small and work your way up. So that's one way that we support our gut microbiome, is by consuming probiotic foods, cultured and fermented foods. So we have the probiotics. Then the other thing we need to do, it would be introduce prebiotics. And that's how we're going to feed our friends. So with probiotics, we're making new friends. With prebiotics, we are feeding our friends. So what counts as a prebiotic? Well, pretty much everything we're eating during this detox, okay? So all of your fruits and vegetables are prebiotic in some form. Some are a little better than others, and some have some special properties, but they're all prebiotics. Now, if you consume fruit, well, blueberries are just great as they are, but if you consume a fruit like an apple, you want to be sure to eat the peel, by organic, and eat the peel as well as the flesh, because the peel has the more concentrated nutrients, but also more concentrated prebiotics. Same thing when you are fixing maybe some kale to have. Don't just eat the leafy part. You want to chop up the stalk as well, because the stalks on the dark leafy greens, they are chock full of really great prebiotics. Okay, so all of our fruits and vegetables, and even the root vegetables. So potatoes aren't out of the question here. I've got a sweet potato, and this is a purple potato, as well as a red potato. So I like to get a lot of different colors, a lot of varieties of even all of my fruits and vegetables in. And potatoes have what's called resistant starch. So if you cook a potato, you say we bake this sweet potato, and then let it cool off at least to room temperature, or maybe put it in the refrigerator and make a potato salad with it, then most of the carbs in this potato, instead of turning to sugar, which is what a lot of people think happens, they actually turn into resistant starch if you eat it after it's cooled off. Okay, a piping hot potato is full of sugary carbs, and then a cooled off potato or a chilled potato actually has a lot of resistant starch, and resistant starch is a prebiotic. So it's good for the microbes in the gut. So, your little tip of the day there. All right, so getting beyond fruits and vegetables, where else are we going to find the prebiotics? Well, it's going to be in our legumes and our beans. So I'm ready. I've got my beans here. I've got some lentils. I've got some oats. So the whole grain in the form of these whole oats, and I've got some rice and a lot of variety of beans and legumes. All of those things will have the prebiotics, the food that specifically feeds your microbes. So those are the ways that we can support and have a very healthy gut, a healthy belly, and remember, a healthy belly is going to translate into a healthy body and a healthy mind.